Hello everyone, and welcome to the Deep Blue Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deep Blue Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 321. Today is Sunday, June 14th, 2020, and I'm glad you could join me today. My neighbor is working on his fence, so there may be, I don't even know what sound. It's going on right now. We briefly opened up the windows, so it's actually pretty chilly in here right now, and Carl the fog is coming. So if I'm looking outside, that is because it is fascinating to watch the fog come in. At some point this week I'm lame, but right now it's fascinating, so whatever. It is apparently known as the June bloom. And we live in the half of the, whatever, roughly speaking, half of the city that frequently gets fog. So, like, we're near one of, like, the high points, so there are other parts of the city that get it for longer than us, but I can still see the radio tower, we should be okay. You know, it's super dense because you have to try hard to see the whatever. It's actually a television tower. If the fog is pretty dense, you can't see it. And we're so close to it, you have to try hard to see it. Oh well, such is life. Let's see. Where should I start today? I'm on to new coffee. Definitely the case where I started to plan a trip to the grocery store, and then like got part of the way through, like, I don't know, it's not like we've run out of food yet. Or there seemed to be a long enough queue of things that still needed to get made. It was like, oh my gosh, this doesn't make sense right now. At some point I'll have to get on it, I guess. Since it's Sunday, that will have to be sooner rather than later. So I put a really good burn on my Mesa sweater wrap this week. So this is a Romy Hill pattern that I'm knitting out of the Ginny the Fleece. And what would it be? I now have 2 balls of yarn speared on the end of this instead of just one. So I have made it through purple, purple, blue, and blue, blue, purple. And I have now brought in blue, blue, teal. One of the colors that actually looks like it's supposed to. And I've used up a pretty decent portion of blue, blue, blue. And all of its navy blurple glory. It's much, I don't know, in some ways it's almost more purple than my purple nominally is. What do you do for purple? This is going to be the last color, so when that time comes, it will be exciting. But not yet. So, and then I have, I guess who knows what side I'm really showing you. So I have little markers in, you can't even really see. So I have little markers in here to help me count, see how many increases I've done so far. Which isn't that many. Oh no, it fell off. I don't even, like, awkwardly partially fell off. I'll have to fix that. Apparently, whatever. I'll make it work. So I've started doing increases. So that means that it's I'm beginning to accommodate for the sleeve. So it's not just a straight up rectangle. There actually are sleeves in this bad boy. So, well, of a sort. and I'm hoping that the shaping is what ends up making it drape in the lovely way. So, so I just barely added that in, but sometimes it's hard to tell. I can't tell if you can tell better when it's against, because the purple end actually looks teal on the screen. It also looks teal in real life too, which is deeply confusing. So I put in quite a few rows actually, and now the rows are getting a little bit longer, but now this just looks a bit like chaos. But here's my marker and here's how far I got. So I managed to knit probably like 3 or 4 inches, which is quite a lot. Quite a lot, at least for me. So I am not yet to the 1/3 mark. It was sort of the case where I decided that I was going to find something engaging and entertaining to watch and really get pretty far on this. So I finished my 2nd color and I'm now working on my 3rd and 4th. So, and then as I go through, I'll just keep spearing balls onto the end. So this is where I ran out of the 1st color. Here is where I ran out of the 2nd color. And then I had a little bit of single color before I launched into my 4th, or a little bit of 3rd color by itself. So hard to see, but it is taking shape. Would it be? At some point I will get through all of the blue, but it's going to be a little bit yet. And the way I've sort of separated out all of the colors, I have all of the 5 yards that have some blue in it are from whatever, that's going to end up covering the top through the little bit past halfway. So it will be blue heavy on the top. And then I have my teals and purples left to go. And for reference, this is the television tower that sometimes gets covered in fog. The reason why I bought this bag. And because of the people behind it. But. So it's coming along. You can see how there are some differences in color as we're going through, so that's cool. And hopefully it will become more and more obvious as this project continues. So, not too crazy, but I am glad that I managed to get a decent amount of work done, because what would it be? I was up sort of late last night watching stuff. But it is cool to finally bring in the teal. I'm definitely probably more of a fan of the teals and blues than the purples on this. For obvious reasons. So we'll just capture that bad boy. And then I have, the edge on this side is slightly thicker. I don't know whether or not, because it seems like it's curling a little bit, but it's mostly garter, so I don't know why that is. Also the fact that my purple is so teal, but so that is that. No, it definitely gives me a double take when I look at this sometimes, because it reminds me of purple. So I think that got most of my knitting left this week. Just because I decided to spend most of yesterday working on it. what was it? I did spend some time, when is it? I was working on it, and I totally knit 2 colors twice, or I knit a color twice in a row, and then I had to rip it all out on whatever, Thursday or Friday. It wasn't too crazy because I was just frogging back 2 stitches, whatever, 2 stitches at a time instead of 1 stitch at a time. But I did actually end this at least on half a row. So it appears that I have done just a little bit of work on this. So this is the Sizzle Pop, a Leslie Ann Robinson pattern. I've done about half a repeat this week on it. So gorgeous. The lovely leaf pattern that ends up being on a diagonal. So not too crazy. The shawl continues to grow. Would it be? I did weigh it sometime this week, and I was like, okay, I've knit like 6 grams. Okay, not terrible. What would it be? So not too crazy. It's out of Smutsarella yarns in the Excellent Lace in the You Can Never Keep Me Down, and You Can Never Have Enough Socks. Okay, so I have 14 repeats of it going along the diagonal, and at this point, yeah, you still have to stretch to make it be wingspan, but I can actually fully extend my arms making it wingspan, so as opposed to tilting my wrist. Tilting my wrist in order to make it so, but you can't even see because wingspan's out of the frame. Diagonally. So this is coming along. It's not super duper fast, but such is life. So I haven't managed to do whatever half a repeat this week. And this only half a repeat because each leaf you see is only half. So far so good. Definitely good to know that I'm still committed to my plan of buying this off on the last day of Stash Dash, but as you do. And like how long it takes to do a row isn't actually too long. It's the fact that every line in the chart is technically speaking 4 passes. So that's what's making it maybe a little bit more challenging, because it's I don't know, let's say it's 20 rows per chart repeat, I think. So as you do. So not oodles of progress this week, but a little bit. Probably because I made huge progress on the Mesa sweater wrap, so something had to give. Whatever. I only have 1 set of hands. I'm probably silly foolish to have 2 massive lips at once, but those were what I wanted to work on at the time. Now I'm committed. So because of all of this massive knitting progress, there isn't a lot of spinning progress to show. So I definitely had a moment where it was like, where did this go? It was in the bucket. I have vague memories of putting it with the rest of my hand spun, but that was a lie. So, this is my finished My Little Pony Mad Scientist Skein. Bleh. It is has like blue sparkle and pink tufts, and then all sorts of what ends up coming across is actually sort of like a light gray, but the light gray is composed of a dark gray, yellow, white, blue, and maybe a little bit of pink. So it's pretty subtle. It is 2-ply lace weight, a little bit more than bring it close enough, will it show its true colors? It's hard to tell. But it's pretty close to true lace weight. I'm looking up how much it actually ended up being. Picture. Alright, so this ended up being 791 yards, which translates to 2,190.5 meters for Stash Dash. So that ended up taking me up past 10K to 11K total for Stash Dash. And what would it be? It was funny. Would it be someone that I ended up meeting at yarn school was like totally gaga for this game, so I don't know whether or not I will, or would it be I could like sell it to her, or I could over dye it blue, or I don't even know. It's a mystery. So if I over dye it blue, then it will be more up my alley, because this is much too pastel for me usually. It was more of my mission to get rid of all of the small bits of stuff that I had never bothered to enter in my stash because it was too small to bother. Which has resulted in a little bit better packing of the stash overall, though also what has resulted in better packing the stash was everything I pulled aside to do for Tour de Fleece, which is completely unrealistic, as you do. And very likely I will only accomplish one thing during that 3-week time period, which starts sometime, I know it's probably 2 weeks away still. It probably starts on a Friday, and it might be very, very late June if that's the case, so a little bit, maybe less than 2 weeks away. So not too crazy. I would say its hand is pretty good. It is not buttery merino soft because Shetland does end up making a pretty decent portion of what's going on. But I am pretty pleased with how it turned out. It's very textured, so even despite the Mondo yardage, there's definitely thick and thin in places, which is cool. So, not totally insane. And I know I was laughing because I'm like, I'm free! I'm free to spin things that aren't lace weight. What do I spin? Lace weight. Oh well. I did way more knitting on handspun this week than I did making new handspun. So, in the list of things that were too small to be properly captured, this is what I've been working on. I probably could have powered through and finished at least this one, but I just wanted to, I guess, show you guys sort of the fiber and how it looks. So this is over overwhelmingly purple, but I also have bits of red, yellow, orange, brown, and white in here. So you can see there's a great big chunk of white. So that, I think, is tencel. It does look a bit like it's actually animal fiber, but who knows. So this was a bat I ended up making at yarn school. And I just threw all sorts of crazy stuff in here. So there's also some blue and teal in here as well. I was competing with a woman named Colleen for all of the blue, so after that point we could not make blue things anymore. Because basically there was just a table of fiber and you could pick whatever you want to put in. So what I find to be very interesting, so I'm looking at this, my overwhelming impression is sort of a bluey purple, with other stuff in there too, sparkle, definitely some sparkle in here. But then it ends up spinning up like this, so who knows. So you can see maybe down here there's actually a decent amount of red in there. There's some brown alpaca that spins just totally crazy. Had I been spinning at the fast clip I had been, maybe I could have finished it for this, this particular bat this week, and it's roughly 2 ounces. But life will continue on. I'm probably making lace weight again. Whatever, such is life. But it has been a lot of fun to spin. So this was the more colorful bat I ended up making, so. And then I'm just keeping the fiber in this bag because my chair is not like a super smooth fabric, and so like fiber gets trapped and caught in it. So if this is going to be like my primary spot of crafting, which may or may not be a good idea, I don't know, whatever. When I have fiber on like my leather couch, like nothing sticks behind, but this fabric it catches. So I needed something to contain it in the meantime, which is why the other bat is not on the chair. So this is the other bat that I ended up creating, and this one is showing up pretty true to color. So there's blue, aqua, purple, the same crazy sparkle, and just like some orange. So, and I think I actually did a pretty good job of mixing this up. There was a base of Shetland on that fiber, so there's definitely some places that are definitely gray. But this bat is slightly deflated. So, like you can see how this used to wrap around the drum. It's like, bats have a universal size. So this has been hanging out for quite some time, but I wanted to, and this one, while it does have some purple in it, it's overwhelmingly blue, so this was the bluest bat that I got to make. But I'm planning on running it through my diz, as I like to do with bats, to turn it into, would it be something a little bit more manageable to spin, and to force me to be random, because that's part of the fun of this, is just that everything's all mixed up and random and interesting. So I think I did a pretty decent, oh, there's also some yellow in here too. Not a lot, but it was the case where I just put like a little bit of some contrasting opposite color wheel to blue in here to mix it up a bit. So, should be really gorgeous. I'm also glad it's maybe coming up a little bit more true to color, but this is what I'm going to spin next, and then I will two-ply them together. So, in that case, then I will have enough yarn for a proper project. And so I don't forget, it is this here, so. Only accidentally Doctor Who themed because I love that particular shade of blue. It's not that I hate Doctor Who, it's just deeply, deeply confuses me. So, what would it be? The other thing, or would it be, I spent, I don't know, like a few hours yesterday sort of sitting through and going through some YouTube videos that were a recommendation by Kathy Hay. Kathy Hay is a, what would it be? She is someone who actually like studies historical dress and costuming and that sort of thing. It was probably more so historical dress. And so she had a very, very great YouTube video about, what would it be? Admitting when you're wrong. And at the end of the video, or like within her description, she actually had a whole bunch of recommendations of things to watch. Some of them were, because she's actually based out of the United Kingdom, a couple of them were probably more related to whatever, the stuff going on there. But I really appreciated sort of having like a list of where to start. And from there you can sort of go down like a rabbit hole of all sorts of other interesting sorts of talks. So it was a mixture of, or there were a decent number of like TED Talks in there. So spend 20 minutes, and it ends up, or would it be? It'd be the case where I think it ended up making my own thinking in words more clear on the matter. Though I must admit, Carolyn of the Knitting Vicariously podcast said things much more eloquently than I, but I think she's more willing to edit. Or maybe she's a little bit better at public speaking than I am, I'm not sure. But I really did appreciate how, what would it be? The word that she ended up using was comfort. So when dealing with things like white privilege, it ends up resulting in you having a tremendous amount of comfort, and that in order to give up some of your privilege, you need to be uncomfortable. So in that learning, you're going to end up being uncomfortable. So I just thought it was a very interesting notion, because it is a privilege to ignore what's going on in the world right now. So, as you do. But hopefully I can share what other interesting things have come sort of in my own journey, because I sort of dropped it with all of the chaos, as you do. So that is also another thing that I'm knitting to right now, is videos like that, because otherwise, like, the other thing that I'm doing is like watching old podcasts. As you do. So this is probably slightly more constructive. Not too crazy. So hopefully, I don't know, words escape me. So with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week. And I look forward to talking to you guys next week. So, take care, guys. Bye-bye.